Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Wutzke. I'm with the North Dakota DOT Materials and Research Division. I'm the testing lab supervisor there. I'm going to provide you a brief update of the field sampling and testing manual. The field sampling testing manual update will be available soon. Just kind of give you a quick overview of what we're doing. We did a complete review and edit of every section of the field sampling testing manual. That includes section 100 through section 700. This review and edit was based on the spec book, so there might be sections of the manual that have been moved, or some of the sections actually might have been removed completely. We also did a complete review and edit of all the aggregate testing procedures, and we added a few extra test procedures and some guidance as well. Currently, the updates are completed and they're under review by the Federal Highway Administration. Once this approval happens, the newest manual should be available on the North Dakota DOT webpage, and we're estimating sometime in January of 2023. Prior versions of the field sampling testing manual will remain there at the same place and for reference, and it kind of depends on the bid opening that you're working on and what specifications are utilized. So all the previous versions will still be out there in the same location. 3 new test methods or practices will be added to the manual. One of the new procedures that we've added was North Dakota 30 mechanical analysis of extracted aggregates. We're not doing extractions, but this is also utilized when we do the ignition oven or the burn off. So this will give you some guidance on how to do your sieve analysis for those types of materials. Section 430 of the spec book will have some different looks in it. In mix design requirements, they'll be referencing a hot mix asphalt design procedure, North Dakota DOT 2. So that methodology or procedure will be added to the field sampling testing manual. And within that North Dakota DOT 02, it also references a method for determining the wrap aggregate bulk specific gravity. That test method is referenced in the mix design procedure, but that'll be the only place that it's actually there. But that'll be also added in the new manual. We did a review of the RICE test, North Dakota T209, theoretical maximum specific gravity. Not a lot of changes there, but we did a couple of rewrites on the removing the entrapped air with the vacuum and releasing the vacuum. The content really isn't different, but it reads nicer and much more clear for you. Last year, we did a full rewrite for 2021-2022 of North Dakota T84. Hopefully you're all aware of that, specific gravity of an absorption of fine aggregate. There was a lot of issues with that, so hopefully there's some more clarity. We also added the ignition oven test, North Dakota T308, as I referenced before. So those are something you want to be aware of if you aren't already. For the 2023 rewrite, for each of the aggregate test procedures that we went through the reference documents of each procedure so it matches AASHTO. So now North Dakota T2, which was AASHTO T2, is actually AASHTO R90. So that's a standard practice. And North Dakota T248, reducing aggregate size, is now AASHTO R76. So those things have been changed in all the locations throughout the manual. Also, all the aggregate test procedures referenced ovens. In their apparatuses, we actually added oven or other heat source because there's other options that you can utilize. Throughout the manual, when we dry sample of aggregate, we always reference North Dakota T255, which is appropriate. But each one of those places that it was written had at a temperature of 230 plus or 9 degrees Fahrenheit. Those are all going to be removed throughout the manual because saying the temperature when you're referencing the test method is redundant. If you do T255, you'll know what the temperature is going to be. You'll see those changes throughout all the aggregate test methods. Not a lot of changes in the sampling. One thing we did was we redid the table a little bit to make it look more consistent with T27. And then we added the sample size statement about field samples should meet or exceed the minimums found in the table. Table 1 gives the approximate sample size required for different aggregate sizes. The main thing to know here is that you should know what you're testing. So this table is guidance only. If you need more sample, you're certainly welcome to get it. For sieve analysis, North Dakota T27, that's probably one of our bigger change sections. We added a table. There's been a lot of questions on what sample size do you start with based on your nominal max, etc. So we added a table to give you some guidance on what sample size you need to start with. We also added a fine aggregate minimum sample size of 300 grams. Of course, you want to note that if it's a mixture of coarse and fine aggregates, you should use the table as your guidance. So that's a new thing. One of the big changes, and there's too many details to put in here, but the order of the test procedure has been rearranged to make the process easier to follow. Some of our sieve guidance for overload was right in the middle of the procedure, and it was confusing to us. So we kind of took that out of there and put it at the end of the actual procedure itself. That being said, we added a little more guidance for the table on sieve overload. You can see that we added a 12-inch diameter guidance for you to utilize for sieve overload to make it easier so you don't have to calculate it in the field. T85, specific gravity of absorption of coarse aggregate. We didn't do a major rewrite on this, but what we did was we added the soaking time to match T84. So we're removing the 17 plus or minus 1 hour, and we're going to utilize 15 to 19 hours moving forward. T113, shale testing, lightweight pieces of aggregate. Not a lot of changes here either, but we changed the table a little bit, added a 3/8 inch nominal maximum aggregate size in our table. It's kind of hard to see there, but it's heavy. It's in heavy white at 1,500 grams. T176, not a big change, but maybe a little more clarification. We've always required a manual sand equivalent shaker, but we actually added the apparatus to say mechanical or manual. There was a little confusion on what that was. Everybody's familiar with the mechanical one, the electric powered one, but the manual one is also available to use. It keeps the cylinder horizontal properly, and it's easy to count your cycles. So we added a little bit of guidance in there for you. The 45 plus or minus 1 second for the mechanical is still for you to utilize, but the manual one also has some guidance at 100 complete cycles at 45 plus or minus 5 seconds. So you can utilize either one of those in the field. Big thing we wanted to make sure that, and it's in the notes, is that handshaking the sand equivalent sample just with your body is not allowed. We've been hearing some things that it's been happening out there, so we want to make sure that it's not for consistency. T255, evaporative moisture content of aggregate by drying. No changes other than the fact that we added in the reference document the North Dakota procedure for microwave drying of soils. In turn, we took that procedure and added the word aggregates in the title just to make sure people are not confused by it. And there's some sample size guidance in there if the sample is entirely rock or aggregate. So the minimum mass shall be 500 grams. This statement is directly under the table under the microwave test, D4643. North Dakota DOT 4, percentage of fractured particles in coarse aggregate. Again, not a lot of changes. We just, in the scope, we defined the fractured face a little more clearly. So now a fractured face is considered an area that is at least 25% of the largest cross-section of the particle and having a defined edge. That's a little bit of a change. That's probably what's been going on out there, but we wanted to make sure it was clear in our scope. That being said, that's all I have. It's a short update. If you have any questions, you can reach me at 328-6902 or the email listed at the bottom there. Thank you.